Today we've seen across Australia the publication of crude, simplistic league tables. The Sydney Morning Herald has a wraparound of simplistic, crude league tables ranking all schools, and the Daily Telegraph's league tables can be found inside the form guide. It is a sad day for the history of education in Australia. Julia Gillard has said repeatedly that she opposes league tables, yet she's done nothing to stop league tables. Today she sits back whilst league tables have been produced, damaging league tables, and she's doing nothing. Julia Gillard must fulfil her obligation to the students and school communities of Australia that will now be damaged as a result of these damaging league tables. These are damaging league tables built upon incomplete, invalid and inaccurate data on her website. The My School website is inaccurate because it contains no information whatsoever. My School website is incomplete because it contains no information whatsoever about the total wealth and resources available to schools. The My School website is invalid because the central measure in that website is based on a test never designed for this purpose. NAPLAN, the national test, is at best a diagnostic tool to inform teachers and parents about the individual learning needs of individual students. It was never designed for this purpose. Professor Margaret Wu from the University of Wollongong, Australia's leading expert on school testing, has said that it would be irresponsible for the government to tell parents that school performance can be judged on the basis of information on the My School website. The My School website is inaccurate because it groups schools in what it describes as similar schools or like groups of schools. Can someone please explain to the parents, teachers and principals across Australia what Holroyd High School in Western Sydney, a school with 80% non-English speaking background students, has in common with the Cocos Islands District High School? Can someone explain to the parents, teachers and principals across Australia what Trinity Grammar has in common with Bulli High School in Wollongong? Can someone explain to the parents, teachers and principals of Australia what Geelong Grammar has in common with Thurrool Public School in Wollongong? Can someone explain to the parents, teachers and principals across Australia what Burwood Girls High School has in common with Cleveland Street Intensive English High School? Incomplete, invalid, inaccurate data have now seen the production of crude, damaging, simplistic league tables. Julia Gillard must now act. Julia Gillard must fulfil her obligation as the Minister for Education to protect students and school communities from the damage. Position with respect to this year's national tests very clear, and what we would hope that the Deputy Prime Minister would focus on is, rather than looking at potential sanctions or other forms of actions, what the Deputy Prime Minister should be focusing on is the international research and evidence, the overwhelming body of research that says that what we're doing is wrong in Australia. As I said, the overwhelming evidence, the research from around the world says that we are on the wrong path that will cause more harm than do good. That's what the Deputy Prime Minister should be focusing on today, not threats or any other sorts of sanctions or actions. What we're talking about is children. What we're talking about is education and school communities. What we want to see from the Deputy Prime Minister is for her to take her obligation to students and school communities seriously and act in such a way that protects them and acts in such a way that genuinely improves the provision of education in Australia. That should be the focus of discussion today. Let me repeat the words of Professor Margaret Wu, Australia's leading expert in school testing at the University of Melbourne. She said, and I quote, "It would be irresponsible for the government to tell parents that they can judge school performance on the basis of data available on the My School website." This is Professor Margaret Wu, one of Australia's leading experts in school testing, in psychometrics. Why do politicians ignore the advice of experts? Why are politicians putting politics before students, before the well-being of children?